and he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
From 22 to 24.
Yeah, well, prosecutors state that these transactions and the informant's recordings played key roles in linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plan. There's a guy named OTF Jam.
Whack 100 wasn't lying. F Jam really did snitch on Lil Durk. Now, the consequences have turned deadly. Reports claim Jam was just killed, and it may have been a direct response to his betrayal. But that's not even the wildest part. This might actually shift the direction of Durk's legal case. Let's take it from day one and break it all down, straight from the code of the streets to the dry snitching that brought everything crashing down. Imagine this. A man does a 12-year bid without saying a word. He gets out, links back up with his day ones, gets blessed with love, bread, and loyalty. But then, allegedly flips, turns fed, and becomes a walking wire. That's not just foul. It's the kind of thing that puts an entire bloodline at risk in some neighborhoods. To understand how Jam, real name Casey Hester, became the most hated man in the Chicago drill scene, we've got to understand the world that made him. This is a world where your word is everything, where keeping it 100 isn't just slang, it's survival. And the worst thing you can be called is a snitch. Back in 2010, while most people were just figuring out their lives, Jam was already deep in the game. He caught an attempted murder charge and got sentenced to 12 years. In the hood, that kind of charge is a litmus test. Most would have folded, but Jam held it down. Or so it seemed. Meanwhile, while Jam was locked down in the Illinois correctional system, a young rapper named Lil Durk was on the come-up. He formed Only the Family, OTF, a group that would eventually become one of the most talked-about crews in drill music. It started off as friends from the block making music, but quickly grew into something bigger. Prosecutors would later label it a hybrid organization, part music label, part street operation. Everyone knew OTF's ties to the Black Disciples. These weren't suburban kids playing gangster. These were real dudes who had been in it since they were shorties. The music they made, not just entertainment. It was basically real-life events set to beats. Bodies, beefs, and bullets, all laid out on wax. While Jam was doing time, Durk was building an empire. By the time Jam came home in February 2022, the world had changed. Durk was famous, respected, and still connected. But success in this game comes with a price. The same street life that gave Durk his credibility also came with enemies and scars, like the death of King Von in 2020. That left a void that demanded payback. In that world, some debts can only be paid in blood. So when Jam got out and got welcomed back with open arms by Durk, money, respect, love, it looked like brotherhood. But what came next turned that loyalty into betrayal. And now, Jam's alleged cooperation with the feds has not only stained his name, it might have cost him his life.
Jam get out that jam, I'll give him 50, he ain't gotta ask again, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? He ain't gotta ask, bro. He said he gave you 50, bro. You know what I'm saying? Can you tell us how much he gave you, or you don't want to even know?
No, we ain't gotta get into all that, but bro made sure he made a way for me to be straight, like he's saying, gotta ask again, like shit. Crib, car.
Durk allegedly blessed Jam with over $50K, got him a car, a crib, and even covered his legal fees. For someone fresh out after 12 years behind bars, that kind of support had to feel like hitting the jackpot. This wasn't just helping out a homie, it was a full-on investment in loyalty, the kind of brotherhood OTF was built on. But allegedly, behind all that love, something darker was going on, something no one in the circle could have seen coming. According to federal investigators, Jam had been wired up for years. Not weeks, years. Recording convos, gathering evidence, feeding it to the feds like he was filming a true crime doc. If the claims are true, then every hug, every talk, every bit of love Durk showed was being flipped into fuel for a federal case. And this goes way beyond just snitching. This was someone brought into the crew's inner sanctum, trusted like family, allegedly turning that access into ammo for a RICO indictment. It all came to a head on October 24, 2024, when that trust turned into handcuffs. And Lil Durk found himself tied to murder-for-hire charges.
Very ironic name.
Jam
Now
got
he
him
put
in a
everyone in a
jam.
jam.
Did 12 years,
12
got
years.
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him 50,000.
Right.
This.
In the hood, there are unwritten rules that govern everything. Codes of conduct, street justice, and enforcement that don't need a judge or jury. Being called a rat is basically a death sentence, not handed down by the system, but by your own people. The same ones who once had love for you. The fact that these allegations against Jam went public means that, true or not, he's likely marked for death in the eyes of those who live and die by the code. That's the brutal reality of the world they chose. When the trap gets exposed, bodies drop. The fall of 2024 was shaping up to be OTF's darkest chapter, but the seeds of this destruction were planted long before, nurtured by blood and a hunger for revenge that would destroy everything in its path. What followed wasn't some Hollywood crime thriller. It was real, and the bodies that dropped weren't actors. They didn't get up when the scene ended. To understand the magnitude of what allegedly unfolded, we need to look at the events leading to the August 2022 shooting in LA that killed Sava Lul Pab Robinson, cousin to Quando Rondo. This wasn't random violence. It was, according to the feds, a calculated hit gone wrong. The intended target survived, while someone else died. And the roots of that alleged plot trace back to November 2020, when King Shaw Vaughn was killed in Atlanta during a clash with Quando Rondo's crew. Vaughn wasn't just another rapper, he was family, a soldier, a brother to OTF. His death created a debt that, in their world, could only be repaid in blood.
So this is a hereditary reward that's gonna go on forever. People that love Vaughn, even fans, I ain't even talking about his real loved ones, just fans. People gonna have a problem with them.
But this is where the story takes a much darker turn, revealing just how deep the alleged betrayal may have gone. If Jam was truly wired up like the feds claim, then he wasn't just some bystander. He was fully embedded, actively documenting the planning, execution, and fallout of what prosecutors are now calling a murder-for-hire conspiracy. The level of access he allegedly had is shocking, especially considering what that access means. According to court documents, a confidential informant provided recordings and detailed evidence, including the use of OTF credit cards to book flights, on the very day of the alleged hit attempt on Quando Rondo. This wasn't someone operating from the outside. It was someone on the inside, with full VIP access to the inner workings of the operation. From the financial moves to the travel logistics to strategic conversations, this person knew everything. And if that person was Jam, it means the betrayal cut far deeper than anyone imagined.
To the indictment, multiple individuals tied to OTF coordinated the plot and discussed payments after the alleged attempt on Quando's life. The plan allegedly involved offering music industry opportunities and cash rewards in exchange for the killing of Quando.
What makes this alleged operation so devastating is its sheer level of sophistication. The 5 OTF members who were ultimately arrested, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston, weren't just random affiliates. These were trusted, inner-circle figures with access to the most sensitive parts of OTF's operations. But the real shock comes from the timeline. Jam had allegedly been wearing a wire and cooperating with the feds almost immediately after his release in February 2022. That means for over 2 years, nearly every conversation he had with members of the crew may have been recorded, monitored, and fed directly to federal agents quietly piecing together a massive case.
22 to 24.
Yeah.
So he immediately got caught up.
The level of psychological manipulation it would take to sustain this kind of deception for years is almost unimaginable. Think about what that really means. While Durk was blessing Jam with money, while the crew was treating him like family, and while he sat in on private conversations about revenge, survival, and strategy, Jam was allegedly recording it all and handing it to the very federal agents working to dismantle the lives of those who trusted him most. The evidence the feds claim to have gathered through this operation is extensive and damaging. Recordings of payment discussions, financial transactions, and insider knowledge of the planning and execution of the alleged murder-for-hire plot. This isn't hearsay or vague suspicion. If true, it's a full, detailed archive of criminal activity collected over multiple years. But what cuts even deeper is how this betrayal strikes at the core of what OTF claimed to stand for. It wasn't just a business. It was supposed to be a brotherhood built on loyalty, shared struggle, and a code that valued unity above all. What Jam allegedly did wasn't just disloyal. it shattered the foundation of trust that held the crew together.
Would they know that music contracts was offered? Who would have to tell them that?
Well, prosecutors state that these transactions and the informant's recordings played key roles in linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plan. There's a guy named OTF Jam.
The reaction within OTF to these revelations has been both divided and revealing. Some members still defend Jam, refusing to believe someone they trusted could betray them, while others have cut ties completely, seeing the situation as a clear threat and distancing themselves to avoid further fallout. The now viral footage of Jam eating McDonald's during what appears to be a federal interrogation has become the ultimate symbol of alleged disloyalty, circulating across social media, spawning memes and sparking outrage. That image, someone casually eating fast food while possibly helping dismantle the lives of people who treated him like family, has hit hard in communities where loyalty is sacred. But the implications of this go beyond OTF or even hip-hop. If the allegations are true, it signals a new level of sophistication in how federal agencies infiltrate and dismantle what they label as criminal organizations. This isn't just about catching individuals in the act. It's about embedding informants for years to build airtight, systemic cases designed to take down entire networks.
OTF Jam did 12 years for attempted murder back, I guess around 2010. He got out in 2022, right around the same time of the Quando situation. And he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
The strategic precision behind this operation suggests federal investigators had been laying the groundwork for years, carefully placing their alleged informant and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The timing of the arrests, the coordination across multiple agencies, and the depth of the charges all point to a well-orchestrated, long-term plan that far exceeds what most expect from standard law enforcement tactics. As news of the allegations rippled through the hip-hop world and beyond, reactions ranged from disbelief to anger. Some questioned how such deep deception could be maintained for so long, while others feared what it means for the future of groups like OTF. When keeping it real turns federal and betrayal carries fatal consequences, the story becomes bigger than Jam. It becomes a brutal lesson in what happens when street loyalty collides with federal law. This isn't just about one alleged snitch. It's about the collapse of trust, the weaponization of betrayal, and how infiltration can tear entire communities apart. On December 17, 2024, Jam finally broke his silence on Instagram stories, claiming, "When the discovery comes out, you're going to see I'm not how the feds got onto us or built their case. The paperwork gone, tell it all." But by then, it was too late. In that world, even the accusation of being an informant can be a death sentence, regardless of whether it's true or not.
Jam personally.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
Personally. So, my mom's side, that Saturday Night Evans, St. Lawrence, all that shit, Evans Mob, his squad, like that, where Jam is from, he would be considered my op, but he not because of my other people type, because he's from all 79.
The streets operate under their own code of justice, one that doesn't rely on courtrooms, evidence, or reasonable doubt. In communities where reputation is everything and trust is the only real currency, being labeled a snitch is effectively a death sentence, not carried out by the state but by former friends, associates, or even strangers who see betrayal as an attack on the code they live by. Concern for Jam's safety has been echoed across social media, with Reddit users and street-savvy voices speculating grimly about what would happen if he ever returned to Chicago. Whether the allegations are true or not, the damage to his name has likely already sealed his fate. But the situation grows even darker with additional, more disturbing claims. Unconfirmed rumors have surfaced that Lil Durk may have ordered the killing of FF Jam's baby mother as retaliation for the alleged snitching. While there's no concrete evidence backing these claims and they must be treated with caution, their circulation alone speaks to the extreme consequences and violent fallout that accusations of cooperation with law enforcement can trigger in this world.
Telling me he was actually in Los Angeles.
Oh, really? You're saying
telling
OTF
me
Jam was in LA?
He got caught with a switch, and they're telling me he's kind of the one saying the 50 I got paid was for that. But it's weak because that was to the world, he just was blessed.
What makes this situation even more complex is that many who knew Jam personally struggled to believe he would ever cooperate with federal authorities. His reputation as someone who did serious time without folding, along with his strong adherence to street codes and principles, made the allegations feel almost unthinkable to those who had known and trusted him for years.
Jam, I don't think Jam, if Jam was gonna snitch, he'd have been snitched on a lot of shit a long time ago. Jam's done a lot of time in jail. Jam.
This very disbelief may have been what made Jam such an effective alleged informant. Federal agencies have grown increasingly sophisticated in infiltrating criminal groups, often focusing on those least expected to cooperate, because their strong reputation for loyalty keeps them off the radar. The wider impact of this case reaches far beyond OTF, or the hip-hop scene. The use of long-term informants, advanced surveillance, and detailed financial tracking showcases a new level of federal enforcement that can penetrate even the tightest, most loyal organizations.
You give your statement and you agree to cooperate, you're getting on that goddamn stand and you're saying exactly what you wrote down, or else you're gonna do life in prison.
The psychological toll of living under constant surveillance, knowing anyone nearby could be recording conversations and tracking activities, is unimaginable for most. The resulting paranoia, vigilance, and breakdown of trust can devastate communities and relationships far beyond those directly targeted by investigations. Regarding the viral claim that Jam was killed on camera, it's important to set the record straight. Despite rumors in November 2024, these reports have been thoroughly debunked. The widely shared video actually showed the fatal shooting of CJ, a 16-year-old drill rapper from New York, who was killed on October 24, 2024. As of May 23, 2025, no credible evidence suggests Jam has been killed, and no death investigation is underway. This spread of false information highlights how quickly misinformation can spread online, especially around high-profile cases. Yet, the rapid acceptance of these rumors also reveals the harsh realities and expectations street communities hold about informants, believing violent retaliation is inevitable. Meanwhile, Lil Durk's trial has been postponed to October 14, 2025, due to new evidence and plea deal developments, signaling that the case continues to evolve as federal prosecutors build their case.
This whole case will stem on people cooperating. If they can get people to say, Durk put us up to this, and their stories are consistent, then Durk is cooked. If their story starts being flip-floppy, this person's version of the story is different than this person's version of the story, Drew Finley will tear them apart on this.
The impact on F as an organization has been devastating. The arrests of key members and ongoing legal battles threaten to unravel everything Lil Durk built over more than a decade. Using the group's own financial records, communications, and internal ties as evidence turns the loyalty and trust that once held them together against them. Families of those involved have come forward. Lil Durk's family criticized the use of his lyrics in court, while Jam's family denies the snitching claims, highlighting the deep personal toll these cases take beyond just the accused. Whether Jam is truly the informant prosecutors say, or an innocent caught in federal overreach, his story is already a cautionary tale about the cost of living by codes that federal law enforcement can exploit. The ultimate lesson may be that, in a world where the government wields vast resources, advanced technology, and long-term infiltration tactics, old codes of loyalty and silence no longer guarantee protection. The streets have their rules, but federal prosecutors play by their own, and they almost always win. This saga reminds us that when street games face federal consequences, the house always wins, and the price of entry can be higher than anyone expects.